Hi, my name is Amelia and today I would like to share with you my maths phenomenon that I've chosen, which is symmetry. The reason why I've chosen symmetry is because I believe that it is something that can be targeted to each child's interests. Um, Being in the 21st century classroom is something that we need to be really aware of, making sure that the child is interested and that learning is targeted to their needs. As well as this, I believe that symmetry can be seen in different environments, whether the student is at the beach, whether they're in the classroom, at the playground, even playing football, symmetry can be seen. The activity that I have chosen is for a Year 3 student or audience, and that's because I looked on the ACARA website and Year 3 students are reported against the ability to identify symmetry in a natural environment as well as a built environment. The activity that I have chosen is a one-line drawing or art piece, and I've just found these, and so the student would have one line of symmetry and they would have to duplicate or copy onto this side. Now there's butterfly, there's rocket, so again it's targeting to each child's interest, so they would be able to choose what they would like. Prior to this activity though, I would ensure that the student knows what a one line symmetry is. They would all be given shapes, such as a circle, triangle, and make sure that there's one that's not symmetrical, and showing that if there is one line of through the shape, that both sides can be symmetrical, and that's a symmetrical shape. I would ensure that the children understand that even if you folded a shape in half, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be symmetrical, and we can see that these sides are not the same. Once we've had a play around with the shapes and the line of symmetry, then we've had a bit of an activity with the rocket, the butterfly. I would then ask if the children could go outside and have a bit of an explore around the playground or around the classroom, just to see if they could pick out anything that's symmetrical for themselves, see if they could identify it, and then obviously that starts off the process that they could be reported against mid-year or at the end of the year. So then coming from our explore, picking out one object and making sure that the children can see that the object that they've chosen is symmetrical. So getting them to draw that object and then putting a line through that and seeing that both sides are the same. Starting off with my explanation of symmetry, I found that the Oxford Dictionary stated that the word symmetry is a law or operation where a physical property or process has an equivalence in two or more directions. Now, quite simply, it's just a mirror image, and that if one side is the same as the other, then it's symmetrical, and that even if you flipped it, turned it, it'd be the same. Now, I quite enjoyed having a look at symmetry and the three different parts of symmetry, or the three different types. It's quite simply, the line symmetry is that if a axis of symmetry, the line goes through a shape, and that they're the same on both sides, then they're symmetrical. Now, that was one part, and this is what I would use as the introduction of symmetry. The second part of symmetry, or the second type, is rotational. So that just means that even if you had an object and you turned it around, it would still be the same. So flipping it or turning it around, it's the same shape. I found that with a flower would be a great opportunity to show students a spider web or a snowflake. You turn the snowflake around, it's still holding that same shape. Now, to further and extend our knowledge of symmetry, which this would be the final part that I would teach students, is point symmetry, and that just shows that at every point of the shape, it's the same distance from the center point. And I thought that at the full moon, if the students could see a full moon at night, they could see that in the middle, there's always going to be that center point. So from this point to the edge, it's always the same same distance. So just concluding my presentation on my maths phenomenon of symmetry, again, it'd just be making sure that the students are taught the basics of symmetry, which is the one line symmetry, And then being able to point out symmetry and being able to acknowledge that out in the real world or in their environment. In the students that will be in year 3, I really think that they could react well with this activity. Again, it's teaching in the 21st century, so we need to make sure that it's targeted at their interests and that things are fun and it's not just copying things from the blackboard. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation and I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.